Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Talking with Debi and Friends, a once weekly podcast, companion piece to our cooking show, Cooking with Debi and Friends. My name is Travis, and beside me is my beautiful wife, Debi Gutierrez.
Hi, everybody. We're so happy that you're joining us for tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we're just going to kind of, put news aside and just enjoy ourselves tonight, which is always a fun thing to do. And we welcome you to the podcast, and we stream on different channels so that you can see us on Facebook, on YouTube, and you can get on those platforms and you can start chatting with each other. You can leave comments in the comment section. We're already seeing some comments coming up. Say hello to us. Let us know where you're from so we can wish you well, wish you warmth, wish you light. And if you're in Texas, it's almost like your governor hates you guys. What's going on?
Oh my God.
What? Watch, somebody from Texas will come on. Suzanne is from Texas. What do you think? I'm not getting political. I'm just saying, what the heck with Texas, man? They're like, go out without your mask, kiss each other on the lips.
Okay. So if you are on one of the channels, we see some comments coming in already.
Hi, everybody.
You guys, please click that like button so other people know, and share so that they can also watch the show, because we always appreciate new watchers, new listeners. And just as a reminder, we do take the audio and put this onto Spotify or wherever you get your podcast so you can listen to it later. So please tell your friends about that as well.
Please. Yeah. So last week's recap, we had on Coach Ray Lokar, who was our motivational speaker. And what he was talking about not only applied to sports and children in sports, but it also applied to so many other walks of life,
business,
sales,
your personal life.
Yeah.
So, it was a really interesting conversation. I was glad to have him on.
I was really glad to have him on too. And then Cooking with Debi and Friends, we did something simple and easy this week. Cooking cod and coleslaw.
And that coleslaw was better definitely later too. And the next day was fantastic.
And we're getting so much positive feedback on our cooking show, which is great, and we thank you for it. So keep wishing us well, because we're getting a lot of it's exciting.
Yeah. Without saying too much.
We'll leave it right there. It's exciting.
Maybe someone's looking at a particular demo reel.
What?
Okay. So let's talk about tonight, who we've got on and what's coming up, because I know a lot of people were chiming in already on Facebook and sending you personal messages, asking questions and stuff.
And last week during the cooking show, we were talking about him coming on, and people started talking about game shows with cooking, and somehow it morphed into my neighbor BG is going to drop a basket on our doorstep Sunday. Yep. So what am I cooking this week? I have no idea. It's going to be dropped on a basket, and we are going to do a version of
neighborhood chopped.
Yeah. Yeah. So without further ado, let's bring our guest on, because he is absolutely lovely. Our guest tonight is actor Tony
Pinizzotto. I believe I'm saying that correct.
Our guest tonight is actor Tony Pinizzotto. A South Jersey native, Tony has been calling Los Angeles home for almost 2 decades. He is currently a writer, a producer, and creative service director for Buzzr, an all-vintage game show TV channel. A lot of you are already familiar with it. He recently debuted Peach Boy, a new musical, as a staged reading in Los Angeles, and its cast album is now available. How cool is that? Tony is currently working on a book titled, I'm so excited about this, Game Show Babylon, the secret scandalous world of TV game shows revealed.
I definitely need to know what scandals are going to be in this book.
I know, he should do a documentary too.
He should.
Yeah. We are so pleased to have him joining with us tonight. Please welcome Tony Pinizzotto.
Hey, guys.
Hi.
I'm exhausted just hearing all that. You're like, I'm like, oh my God.
No wonder I'm tired.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hello. So first question we want to ask is, how are you and your husband doing during lockdown?
We're doing okay. We're hanging in there. We have both been fortunate that we're working. And so yeah, working from home seems like even busier than normal with everything that's going on. And Buzzr is gearing up for a really great spring. Our ratings have been like super through the roof because people don't want to deal with reality.
Right.
They'd rather go and escape. And so they're turning to game shows as an escape. And it's been good. So we're hanging in there. We actually lost weight, eating better on the whole food thing, and just working on things around the house that we have been putting off for years. So we're trying to look at the bright side of it.
Good for
That's
you.
good perspective.
Been busy creatively too, like with everything that I'm working on and what we're doing, and trying to use this time as a time to really, like I've said in the past, it's not bad, it's just different. So it's just have some resilience and adapt to what's going on. So yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah, that's a sentiment that we've talked about on the cooking show a lot. And we've got a lot of people already watching and they've commented. I just want to back up and just say hello to everyone. And I apologize. We want to make sure we'll get to you in a minute. But to talk about your sentiment with regard to it's not bad, it's just different. We've said that too. Like, how was your year? At the beginning of the year, we were talking about if you could explain last year. And it was okay. I mean, there were some bad parts, but for the most part, a lot changed in very positive ways for us creatively, probably like with you. And we were able to do things together that we would never be able to have the time for, or even the reason to do, like build this community that we're talking to right now. So yeah, it was pretty good.
Absolutely.
Good year.
Absolutely. I tell the story that I was lucky enough to be part of a new musicals workshop last year, and through New Musicals Inc., which is actually based in North Hollywood, so it's not far from where I am. And this was an amazing experience. It was a week-long online workshop. It was held online. It's normally done in person, but I got to work with producers and other writers from all over the world. Like, people were calling in from London and Australia and the US, and it was just, I tried to look at that and going, wow, I could have never met or worked or talked with these people in this kind of setting had it not been for the streaming and the video conferencing.
Right.
It's second nature now. So yeah, I think it's about trying to find the best you can in it. I mean, it's terrible. I feel like, well, Los Angeles area, I think, had one of the lowest numbers yesterday for new cases in a long time. We've lost a few friends, unfortunately,
I'm
to
sorry.
it. But I try to, again, I have family members that got it and got through it and are better. So, like I said, it's tough, but it's different. But we're doing what we can, you know?
Yeah.
Good. It's good to hear that you're doing well.
For sure.
Good. Yeah. So that we always want to start off and make sure that you're doing well.
Oh, thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about what Buzzr is? Because it's not like any other kind of network that does game shows. It is very specific.
It is quite specific. And we are the only all vintage game show TV channel in the US. And Buzzr is owned by Fremantle Media. And many years ago, Fremantle bought the Mark Goodson, Bill Todman library, about 40,000 episodes. And we were licensing them out to stations and other things. And at one point, they were like, well, why aren't we running these as a station of our own? And so a TV, that was in January of 2015. And by June 1st, we had launched a TV station. And it was done with a handful of people. 12, I think 12 of us launched the whole station total.
Oh my gosh.
4 on the creative team and people in traffic and programming. And I've said it before. I love the people at Buzzr. It's one of the best crews that I've ever worked with. And I got in as a coordinator, but I was one of the 12 that launched the station. And so now we're mostly 24/7 vintage game shows. A lot of it is the Mark Goodson, Bill Todman library. So Everything from the 1950s panel shows like To Tell the Truth, What's My Line, I've Got a Secret, all the way up to the 80s and the 90s. So we're going strong. We launched as a DigiNet. So I don't know if you know about how that works, but a few years back, the FCC started allowing like DigiNets, offshoots, when TV went all digital. And so like an ABC station or a Fox station might be channel 12, but then they're allowed a certain amount of offshoots, 12.1, 12.2. Those are nets, and they were over the air with a digital antenna. So we launched as a DigiNet. Since then, we've been on cable, we're on Dish, we're on Roku, Pluto. I mean, the amount of outlets that we're now distributing on is just millions and millions of households, and we're glad that I love it, because when I first started working, nobody knew what it was, but now I get people all the time like, oh my God, I love that station. I watch it all the time.
I was just going to ask how people will find it. We happened upon it. We have a Samsung TV, and on Samsung TV, you can hit a button on the remote, and it was like one of the first channels, 1002 or something. Yep. And we were just like, oh my God, this is perfect, because a lot of those old shows, they're so easy to watch. They're so fun to watch. Even if you've seen it before, like you said from the start, we're able to escape to a different time, but also just to something that's not available on other networks or stations. So you mentioned DigiNet, Dish, and Pluto TV, Samsung. So there are a lot of ways to watch. Are those shows also streamed on buzzrtv.com?
Yeah, we have a mirror stream on buzzrtv.com, which is a watch live feature. So you can always go there and look at our schedule, and you can stream the station live if you just don't have access to any of those things. And it's pretty easy to go and do. So yeah, definitely, it's all there.
And just so that everyone knows, it's buzzrtv.com.
Yeah.
Correct.
Now,
Correct.
Were you always a fan of game shows?
Oh my God.
Do you see the smile?
Oh, you got all
instantly?
excited. I did too.
Yes.
We have a couple people that are so excited. This is one question from a viewer. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say, first of all, yes. The short answer, yes. I grew up in the 70s, let's just say that, when a lot of these game shows were hitting their heights, like Match Game and just Tattletales and a lot of the great shows. And for me, it's just has so many aspects to it. I love to watch and play. I love to laugh. I was a kid. I was a kid who collected like old radio shows on tape. That was my thing. Okay. I had like hundreds of old radio shows, and occasionally some of these personalities from the radio shows would actually show up on the shows as well. But also a lot of these TV game shows started in radio, and so I had actually been exposed to them, listening to them as radio shows as a kid too.
Which ones started as radio?
A lot of the early ones. Queen for a Day, which is what I'm writing about in my book right now.
Oh,
Queen
we're going to get to the book.
And Beat the Clock was a radio show, which I think is really kind of wild, because when you think about Beat the Clock, it's all the visual of these people trying to get the stuff. But it was a radio show, and so you had to go on the laughter of the audience and the play-by-play. And so it was theater of the mind for real. You're trying to imagine what these people are trying to do on the radio. So, there's You Bet Your Life was a big radio one with Groucho Marx.
That's right.
There's a lot of the early ones. Yeah. So I was always a fan of game shows. I used to watch them with my brothers. So there's a lot of nostalgia there. And I can't, I'm someone who says that the job picks you. You don't pick the job. And so when I was looking for a job around the time that Buzzr was putting together their crew, I was an actor here in LA, and I just really wasn't doing what I wanted to do, and I wasn't happy. And I thought about when was I my most happiest time? And it was when I was working in Chicago, working for Channel 26 The U, which was owned by Weigel Broadcasting, which now owns MeTV. They do MeTV if you watch it.
We watch MeTV a lot.
Yeah. And I used to work for Weigel, and I did promotion and PR and marketing, and then writer-producer for a lot of the vintage shows that were on Channel 26 The U, like Bewitched and Maude and Good Times and The Jeffersons and
all the best shows.
All the best shows.
Let me tell you, I wish I miss the 70s for the variety shows. I think just watching any of the, like Cher and Cher, Mike Douglas and the Smother Brothers. We just were talking about them the other day. And the variety, Cal Burnett, the variety shows were really great. And so game shows to me were a fun play at those too, you know? And so, yeah, when I realized that it was doing television promotions and creative for that, I just had a great time doing it. And I had heard about Buzzr, and I went in and applied for the job and interviewed and just hit it off with them. And I just feel like it's my wheelhouse. Like I know this stuff inside and out. So it's a perfect fit. I feel it's been
exciting. And when you got the job, did they just go, here, Tony, and just give you a ton of stuff to watch that would be so much fun?
The funny thing is I didn't have to watch, like I would be sometimes I'd tell them about the show.
You're a real fan. Yeah.
Maybe like, I don't know about this show. I'm like, oh my God, it was this. And cause I watched it when it was in first run, you know? And so, I was like, I get to work at a creative job where I can sit and watch game shows all day. Come on.
That sounds amazing.
What?
For it? Come on. This is great. So, so it was pretty exciting. And so my job at Buzzr is really to try and, with everyone else there who promotes it, is you're taking old shows that are 40, 50, 60 years old, and you have to make them relevant again, or you have to make them fresh again, because there are people out there who have never seen them before. And so that's the goal. And we always say we don't want to make fun of these shows. We want to honor them, and we want to have fun with them, you know? So it's just been a hoot, and it's been almost 6 years there now.
Wow. That's a really good way to look at it. You want to honor them. I mean, obviously, when you see the 70s hairstyles and the clothes, it's a little bit jarring, right, at first.
No, I think it's so much fun.
Well, so I grew up in the 70s too.
I think it's so much fun.
I'm not saying it's funny, but I get what you're saying and why you would come at it from that approach. You want to honor it because the content is so amazing. But for me, I'm also watching for the hairstyles and the way they talk, the jokes and things.
Yeah. The prizes are funny too.
I've always been a fan of honest TV or honest films. Like I like camp. I think it's fun, and we always have a great time watching it. But there's an honesty there, and there's a genuineness. And these people that were doing these shows and creating them, they never intended these shows to be in syndication 40, 50 years from now played. They were not thinking these were ever. Like, a lot of the episodes on some shows were just lost. They're gone. And they never made these with the intent of having them show over and over again. You know, they made them as a one and done. But there's an honesty to them. The people that created them, the people that are in them, they're really, truly genuine about what they're doing, and they know they're having fun with it. So
just real people. The contestants are amazing to me because you can tell these are just like really average, regular people.
And it seemed like when they were paired up with celebrities, the celebrities were all character actors. A
lot of them are, yeah. I mean, they shot for personalities that would be good TV. You know, there's Dick DeBarlo, who worked on Match Game and a ton of other shows. He said once, we just started putting people on Match Game that we always wanted to work with. Like if there was somebody that we admired in the industry, we tried to get them on the show, like Julie London or Ethel Merman, or somebody. I just always wanted to work with that person.
Yeah.
Let's try to get him on Get Match Game, and that's
Fanny Flagg, who was an author. Who knew she was so funny?
Fanny did tons of episodes. Tons. And she's still writing now. Yeah.
Yes, she is. Yeah. I wait for her newest book all the time.
She does.
What do you feel that game provides that regular television viewing doesn't?
I really think it's the play along feature. Like you go down that rabbit hole and you really start to play along with the contestants. If it's trivia based, or if you're watching something that's like To Tell the Truth, you're guessing who you think it is. I really think that that's a key aspect to it. When we launched Buzzr, it was my vice president and boss Jamie and our creative team. We were talking about the bug, the little bug in the corner that pops up when you watch the station. It was fairly new to the station, and we were trying to make sure it was placing right. And at the time, the only TV we had working or going on with Buzzr was upstairs in this break room in our building. And we went up and we were watching for this like lower third animation thing that came up. And the graphic designer was there, and he's watching, and it came up, and we said, well, what do you think? What did it look? Did it look right to you? And he's like, what? And we said, did it look right to you? And he said, oh, I didn't catch it. I was too wrapped up in the game.
In the game.
And he was so wrapped up in watching, I think it was Family Feud or something. And he was like, I totally missed it. Because he was so wrapped up in the game. And I think that's the wonderful thing about this, is that the play along feature is just so much fun.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite?
Oh my God.
We asked our audience too, so I've got a list of their favorites right here.
That's like Sophie's Choice. That's like trying to ask who my favorite child is.
You go.
I like them different things for different reasons. I think Match Game was certainly an important show because of from where it started, which was this real straight-laced 60s black and white show, to like 70s was off the wall and everybody was drunk during taping,
No.
Well, not everybody, but there's stories.
You could definitely tell there's some different swagger in those. Yeah,
people. But I've done quite a few game shows, and liquor is never an option.
This is the 70s.
The story is that in the 70s during Match Game, when they were taping, they would do 5 episodes a day.
That's a lot.
They would do a week's worth. So when you saw like the certain 6 people on the panel, and they'd be there for 5 nights or 5 days, it was a week. They shot all that in one day. So the story is that they would shoot the first 3 episodes and then break for lunch. And then they'd come back after lunch and shoot the last 2. So there was always like this kind of purportedly more loose vibe on the set. So if you watched the Thursday and Friday shows, people were just a little more happy.
A couple of martinis at lunch.
Yeah. But so Match Game, of course, was an amazing one. I don't know. I liked Pressure Luck. I was always a big fan of that.
No whammies.
Oh yeah, great show. And my all-time favorite was one that probably not too many people know, except the diehard fans, which was called the $1.98 Beauty Pageant, the $1.98 Beauty Show. Or it was hosted by Rip Taylor.
Yep, that's coming up on a question that a viewer sent in. What happened to the $1.98 beauty contest?
Oh, that was a Chuck Barris production, who was most famous for the Gong Show.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember just how silly it was and how much fun it was. In fact, when I interviewed with my boss, Jamie Klein, who's just been in game shows forever, he asked me, he's like, what's your favorite show? And I said, it's the $1.98 Beauty Pageant. And he just said, I wrote the pilot for that show. I was
no.
Like, what? So yeah, he worked for Gong Show for a while, but I was just like, was just a perfect fit.
So was it like Queen of the Day or Queen for the Day, or
kind of? It was a beauty pageant, but it was all types of women. It probably would not be popular right now because it wasn't probably. It just
Not
it
very
was,
PC.
yeah, it was a silly show, and I think they actually gave them $1.98 as their prize, and they handed them a bouquet of carrots. Usually, it was a big thing, carrots with the carrot top hanging over.
That's silly.
So silly, but so much fun.
Oh,
Yeah.
so this is so much fun. I'm having so much fun just talking about it, and it's so much fun to have it playing in the room because you can get caught up. You got caught up.
So she'll have it on the TV. This is the dining room, the kitchen behind. In that room over there is the family room, and there's a TV over there. No matter what I'm doing, if I'm walking through the kitchen, the dining room, going upstairs or whatever, I will stop every single time she's got Buzzr on, because something absurd or silly or funny or engaging,
smart.
Yeah.
Smart.
It'll stop me, and I'll just I realize 10 minutes later, wow, I've been standing here 10 minutes watching this silly show.
And it's weird to see them pull out an encyclopedia to check an answer.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's kind of
roll out a map.
It's kind of amazing because there are writers on these shows that come up with questions on any kind of trivia or survey show or anything like that, and those used to come up with some great stuff. It's kind of amazing. It also amazes me. Well, you were asking my important shows, like so we just finished up Black History Month, and
yes.
We did a big block of programming on Saturday for Black History, and I last year was the one that kind of tried to get that going. I said, why don't we do something for Black History Month that focuses on African American personalities, but their role in game shows. And we actually found some designers that for CBS that ended up being on one of the shows as well, but who did a lot of designs for To Tell the Truth and I've Got a Secret. He did George Olden, and we did other personalities, Lena Horne, and all these personalities they were really politically important and at the time groundbreaking, and they were on game shows. So took that opportunity, knowing the library we had, to focus on that. And this year we did Little Richard, and we did Della Reese, and we did Althea Gibson, the tennis player, and Adam Wade, who was the actual first Black game show host full time.
What did he host?
He hosted a show called Musical Chairs, which was kind of like Name That Tune. It only ran a little over a year. But Adam Wade he's still alive. He's still around, and he started as a polio scientist. He studied polio, and he quit polio to do music, and he had some #1 hits, and then he got picked to do Musical Chairs. He was the first Black game show. So we're trying to bring those kind of episodes to light as well, because they're really important
and relevant
of game show history. Yeah.
So can we start talking about the book? You have a book that you're working on. This is so exciting. Game Show Babylon, The Secret Scandalous World of TV Game Show Revealed.
I'm such a nerd, aren't I?
No, because like I said, I've done game shows. I did Clean House, and I was amazed at the integrity of the show. So if you got, I don't know, $315.63, that's the money that you had to work with.
Yeah.
And it was so interesting, the integrity of all these shows that I worked on. And I didn't realize there were so many rules behind the scenes. And as far as Scandalous, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, what are the secret scandals?
Is it cheating?
That you might maybe
cheating's in there, yeah.
Cheating's in there?
Oh, for sure. I mean, you can't do a book about game shows without talking about the cheaters. I mean, that's like the delicious stuff too.
Right.
No, I actually just researching game shows more intensely, especially in the past 6 years, I've come across some stories that I just go, wow, it's kind of amazing. And so that was when I had sort of the idea that to do a book talking about some of these in detail. The book starts with the creation of the FCC and starts with the game show scandals in the 1950s, which were cheating. But in the 50s, there were a few shows that were supplying their contestants with answers. And so that was just came to a huge head. And a lot of hosts and things got wrapped up into not so good stuff. And a lot of producers were afraid to do game shows after that because they knew that there was that fine line, and then boundaries were set up. So that I'm talking about that. I talk about I mentioned Queen for a Day. I go into depth, which is I call the most depressing show on television.
No,
unfortunately, because they would have these contestants come on and tell their sob stories, and it wasn't just telling your sob story, but it was whoever had the worst sob story would win all the prizes. And it was decided upon by the audience with an applause meter. It was bizarre.
Did the stories have to be true? Did they have to research the stories and make sure that they were telling the truth?
They didn't really have the time to research, but they were told, the people that were applying. So this was shot live. This started as a radio show, and then it came to LA. And it was mostly shot in the Moulin Rouge Theater, which is now Nickelodeon Studios. They basically pulled people out of the audience that night that they would tape or film or broadcast. So they were told, it could not be stories about abuse. Obviously, it could not be.
Sure.
They even told a lot of the contestants not to cry, but of course they did.
Of course they did, because they won great prizes.
Exactly. But it was tough. It's tough to watch. If you ever go on YouTube and watch some of those, it's like, my son has this disease and needs a wheelchair, and I can't even afford that. Or and there's goofy ones in there too. There's like the tuberculosis ward needs a shampoo and a hairdryer set so they can all do their hair. And it's like, okay, it's a little odd, but I talk about that a little bit. Right now, I'm deep into researching James Dean because a lot of people don't know, but James Dean was once a stunt tester on Beat the Clock. So the show Beat the Clock had a certain amount of stunts that the contestants would have to do, and somebody had to test those before. And James Dean was one of the testers. He moved to New York in 1951. He had gotten some work as an actor, and he was a university dropout and moved to New York to do acting, but he needed a paying gig. So he was referred to one of the producers at Beat the Clock and interviewed and got it. But he got fired because he did the stunts too well. He was a very athletic guy. He was very
method.
Yeah. Well, his hand-eye coordination was good. He had myopia, which means he was legally blind. So he had some kind of weird sixth sense of being able to do this stuff. And so he was let go because the producers couldn't get a grasp on the real time that it would take to do some of these stunts. So I talk about that, but yeah, the cheating, I mean, there's just so many crazy stories. Another fun story that I love to tell that I want to write about in the book is you remember the show Candid Camera?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So in the 70s, I don't know how to say it, hijacking a plane was kind of frequent. And Ellen Funt was on a plane with his entire family, and it was hijacked.
The crime du jour.
Yeah, exactly. It was hijacked. The plane was hijacked to Cuba, but everybody on the plane knew that Ellen Funt was on the plane.
Oh, God.
The plane thought that they were all in an episode of Candid Camera.
Oh my gosh.
So this is a real deal story.
Oh my gosh. We have
That's
a
hilarious.
We have a couple people chiming in. We have a
Oh my God.
loyal viewer who said that her husband's mom was on Queen for the Day, and they loved her story because she had 11 kids, 9 of them boys, one after another. So she was on Queen for the Day.
Oh my God.
And then somebody, Jack Denlinger said, Robert Redford quiz show movie was a great look at the scandals of the 50s. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, quiz show. Yeah.
Oh, quiz show. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that about the $64,000 question?
Yes. And
Oh, okay.
Dotto, I think, God, it's been a long time since, but yeah, it was basically about that situation. They tried to humanize that a little bit more and talk about the people that were involved. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. And there are other stories. There's some more recent ones about people in Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. I mostly address TV game shows in America, but there were some cheating things that happened where friends in the audience that knew the answer would cough and let the person know what the right answer was. And
do you address the I assume that you've seen on Amazon game show Dynamos?
I don't know if I've seen that one.
Oh, dude.
Oh, you have to see
You
it.
have to see that.
Game show Dynamos. And our friend Danny Wolf, who's a producer, and he's going to join us next week because he did a documentary on cult films called Time Warp, and he's doing his second movie about skin, the nudity, the history of nudity in film. So, and he loves Buzzr. I mean,
good.
Loves
well, he just
Buzzr.
texted me where I got my start was with Alan Funt on his last CBS specials, Candid Camera. So it's a small world. Yeah.
Danny Wolf. And he loves Buzzr. We were talking to him Sunday. He was driving somewhere. And I said, what are you going to do today? Oh, I'm going to probably, after dinner, go watch Buzzr. What's on? And he listed everything in its time slot.
All the way through midnight.
So here's his questions for you. Do you want to take a little break from the book? And okay.
Yeah, shoot.
2 questions for Tony. 1.
I'll do my best.
I love the network. It proves more than any network without nostalgia and good times still work. Even if all 3 husbands are smoking simultaneously on Tattletales, or better, Richard Dawson's cigarette smoke rising up into one of Brett's many wigs, it seems that many of the show's episodes have been rerun now several times. Will there be a new slate of episodes of shows like Password Plus, Super Password, and Late Night Family Feuds?
Yes.
Oh, good. He'll be happy to know that.
Yeah, we're always asked about this, about new episodes. Let's start by saying the game shows are a little different than your syndicated comedies from the 50s and 60s, like Bewitched or Dick Van Dyke or those shows. The thing about game shows is that once they've aired, it's like knowing all the answers ahead of time. You know who wins, so it can get a little, tiresome. We like to rotate as much as possible, but we do have new episodes coming all the time. We take every single episode that comes down, and so we're doing something a little different. We get the episodes off of Digibeta, which was probably one of the more recent formats that they've been transferred to. We take them and they're digitized into a digital format. So we're doing that. We take those episodes and then those episodes are quality controlled. So we actually sit and watch every single episode before it airs.
Are you looking for something that might not have, what am I trying to say?
I don't know. I'm just thinking, God, that sounds like real hard work, Tony.
That's the thing. It's very work intensive and it's expensive, but it's what it is,
Well, are you looking for like things that aren't politically correct now?
Yes, I mean that's part of it, and we certainly want to try and keep an eye on that stuff. And if anything comes up that's questionable, it gets looked at by a lot of different people who talk about whether we should even air it or not. But the other part of quality control is just to make sure that the show itself, the digital quality of it, the video, the audio, all those components of the episode are good enough to air, meaning that they're not a crap. Because a lot of times you'll see people who have episodes of these shows on VHS, they're posting it on YouTube. There's like strikes, there's like tape hits, things like that. We're just trying to make these episodes look as beautiful as possible.
Sure.
So that's one step. Within that, we're all timing these episodes out too, meaning that we're looking at commercial breaks and we're looking at the time of the show so we can get that in our computers. Also, on top of that, we have to have closed caption generated for these shows as well. Closed captioning files are up there, and every show on our station is closed caption. Once all that happens, then it's set up into a queue to air. And so with all the shows that we have, it's impossible to have every new episode be every day of the week, every month, every year.
Right.
So what we do is in general, we rotate sort of, okay, from this show for the next quarter, we'll try and get another 50 episodes in the pipeline.
How long per episode? How long per episode does all that you just mentioned take?
Man, I think I'm QCing stuff a month in advance before it airs easily.
And the captions and all that?
Yeah, I would say it takes about a good month to get things up to par on what we want to do. But yeah, so it's very work intensive.
The average viewer, we just think, well, you've got the old thing, just put it up.
Just put it up, yeah.
Well, in the old days, you would. Like when I worked for other stations, and you would take the tapes of the shows down to Master Control, and they would pop it in, and they'd have a switcher with the commercials on tape, and you literally just switch, right? That was what it was. In the old days, you did do that. You just had it on tape. But because we're digitally transferring these episodes and trying to clean them up, it takes a little more work. The nice thing is, though, we're doing a really nice service to these episodes because now that they're digitally transferred and they look beautiful, they're in a format now that's like, it's going to stick around for a long time, hopefully.
You preserve them.
Also in the QC process, which is one of my favorite parts, is that we like to look at fun moments. Like if there's a particular like joke or big win or a certain contestant's on or a certain celebrity, we notate that. So then we have a system where we can pipe all those notes into. And if we're later on looking for, a star of a certain genre or something to create an on-air special day of programming, we could just go into our system and go, show me the funniest things from Tattletales that we as people who live and breathe this stuff thought were really funny moments. And we'll use those moments to pick, certain episodes. We have a day coming up on March 19th celebrating National Let's Laugh Day, where we're doing a day of all. It's the same schedule mostly, but we are airing episodes that we personally looked at and go, there's something really funny in that, and we kept it for that day. And then we end that night with a special that hasn't been seen on TV in a while called TV Game Show's Funniest Moments. And it was hosted by William Shatner from 1984.
Wow.
So, super thrilled because I was like, you guys think about this. And they say, all right, we'll air it. So it was great.
Nice.
I'm excited for that to air.
And that's March 19th?
That's March 19th. Yeah, that's all day March 19th. We're going to have some fresh episodes in there, Match Game. And then we're going to rerun TV's Funniest Game Show Moments that following Sunday, 2 days later. Just that special itself.
Did you do you have a special funny moment that you like, or one or two?
Of any show?
Yeah, any game show.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I could watch Charles Nelson Riley all day on Match Game.
Is he amazing? Anybody who's a Charles Nelson Riley fan has got to see his one-man show. And
there's a great film documentary called Life of Riley that is a filmed version of that show. He did that at the El Portal Theater, which was in North Hollywood. Was one of the last places he did that, and he was amazing.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, I love. Again, I go back to the honesty of contestants. I love when something real happens. It's worth notating.
Yeah. Absolutely. I can't wait for that. And it's going to be an all-day thing on Friday.
Yes,
Friday
Friday
the
the
19th.
19th starts at 8 a.m. and then it's our regular schedule until 8 p.m. and we go Eastern, but we reloop the prime time 8 to 11. But it's a regular schedule, so those regular shows are going to show up, but it's going to be something a little different, something to celebrate.
That sounds.
That
cool.
sounds like fun. You have a fun job.
I know.
Oh my
It's like a
God.
dream job.
Yes. Yes. I think you'll like the, I know that you're giving us a lot of information, but I think you'll really like the documentary we told you about.
Game
And
show Dynamos.
I think when you said
I wrote it down.
coughing, when
Yeah.
somebody was coughing, because there was a couple that this is all they did. All they did was go on game shows and win money, and that's how they supported their family.
Yeah.
So this
Yeah.
documentary is about them and how they just went game show to game show to game show.
It's kind of amazing. Like a lot of people talk about this gentleman named Michael Larson who was on pretty much broke the bank on Pressure Luck, and he memorized the pattern of the lights blinking around the thing so he wouldn't hit a whammy.
Huh.
He was really unemployed, or really, I think he was an ice cream salesman, and he went to buy like a thrift store and bought a VCR, and he sat home and he memorized the patterns of the lights, and he got on the show and he won over $100,000.
But see, there's nothing wrong with that, right?
He got to keep that money. That one he got to keep. He did, because he legally won it. Producers had gone to the designers of the show went to producers before he came on and said, look, we can put a randomizer in this board, and the randomizer will make the lights random. So, and I think it was just like a few $1,000s to do this, and the producers said, no, we don't want to spend that money. Had they put in the randomizer, they would have saved over $100,000.
Yeah.
Because Larson wouldn't have broken the bank,
I was just looking up another one, and then my friend Danny texted Perfect Bid, the contestant who knew too much. Have you seen that one?
That is on my Amazon list, but I have not watched it.
Dude, that's another one you got to watch. That's a really good one.
You and Danny Wolf need to be friends. You want Danny's second question?
And that's a Price is Right documentary.
Okay, Danny's second question. Is there any chance or even possible to get Chuck Barris's library of shows like The Newlywed Game, The Dating Game, The Gong Show, or even the $1.98 beauty contest? Sincerely, the guy who still stops Mitzi McCall and Charlie Brill every month at Ralph's Studio City and praises their tattletales hilarity.
We have been asked about those shows many times. Unfortunately, that's not my department, so I can't say that we haven't tried getting them, and I can't say we haven't. The safe answer is we would love to have those shows.
Sure.
And it is certainly a show that gets asked about quite a lot, like the Chuck Barris stuff for sure.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you, he's a super fan.
He's so excited that you're on.
An
So
even
excited.
bigger fan if you do get that catalog.
Well, I always say never say never. Like when people ask about those shows, I say never say never. There were shows when we started. There were fans. God love the fans, by the way. These game show fans are some of the coolest. They know so much. Like if we run an episode out of order, we hear it. They're like, "Wait, you guys skipped episode 1139." Or they know their stuff. I've been able to research some of these shows by fan sites because they'll post things on there. Like if I want to know how many times somebody was on Match Game, or the fans, they know their stuff. So I just say never say never. When we started, there was talk like where somebody would write, "Hey, I'd love to see this show," and they'd say, "Oh, you'll never see it because it's not a Fremantle show. It's not Mark Goodson, Bill Todman." We do air some stuff outside of that realm. So, I mean, never say never. There's always a chance you're going to see. Our goal is to try and keep viewers interested and present as much great content to them as we can.
That's fantastic.
What do you think of some of these game shows that are being revamped and put back out there? Like the vintage shows that they're taking them and they're
Reboots.
reboots.
I love it. I mean, I always I answer it two ways. I always use my Harry Potter analogy. When Harry Potter books were coming out and the movies started coming out, there was people loved them, of course, but there was also talk that, oh, this is like saturating the brand and it's too much and it's not covering. Here's the thing about Harry Potter: it got kids to pick up books and read, right? So to me, anything that can get a kid to pick up a book and read is a good thing. For the game shows, anything that can get people interested in more game shows is a good thing.
Right.
And I hope that someday they are seeing the new Match Game and go, man, I want to go back and look at the old Match Game or something like that. Look, I mean, Fremantle, who owns Buzzr, owns so many of these IPs like Pressure Luck and Match Game and Family Feud and all these properties. So a lot of these shows that are being rebooted are Fremantle properties. So I would never, I can't talk bad about anybody, but even at the non-Fremantle stuff, I'm glad the stuff's on the air because it just gets people interested in the genre. And I think that's important.
I do too. I think game is such a great genre to just put on for the family, put on during dinner, put on when nobody wants to talk about what happened at work or at school. And you're still being active with each other.
For sure. If you're playing along with each other too. Yeah, it's great. I mean, you look at, okay, so Fremantle has the new Price is Right. It's never not had Price is Right. But Let's Make a Deal with Wayne Brady. Pressure Luck with Elizabeth Banks.
Oh, that's right.
Card Sharks with Joel McHale. To Tell the Truth with Anthony Anderson. Match Game with Alec Baldwin. These are all Fremantle shows. So I'm thrilled that I work for a company that loves, this format and those shows. They're called Shiny Floor Game Shows now. That's the new nickname for them because since Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, that long drink of the set of the black shiny floor, that's what people call them. They're shiny floor game shows. But I love them. I'm all about it. There are some that are better than others, but for all in all purposes, I think they're great.
Yeah, I do too, and I think you're right. I think if you're watching the new stuff, you're going to look back, especially if you know where to go, like Buzzr, to find them.
So we're going to give everybody the information on how to find those games, how to find Buzzr. In the meantime, if any of you have questions, I've read as many of your comments as come in, I believe. If you have any questions for Tony, he's absolutely here and ready to answer.
And also you wanted to ask about his new musical.
Yeah, we want to know more about your musical.
Thank you for asking. So I wrote a musical. It's called Peach Boy. And it is a coming-of-age story based on a 200-year-old Japanese fairy tale called Momotaro, the Peach Boy. And Momotaro is the story of a little boy that was born from a peach. And he had two parents who could not have a son or a child. And so they pray to the gods. And then one day when the wife is down by the stream doing laundry in the stream, she sees this huge peach coming down the stream, floating down the stream. And she grabs it and she takes it home to feed the family, and her and her husband, and they crack it open, and a little boy appears out of the peach, and they name him Momotaro, which means first male born of the peach in Japanese. And Momotaro is a story that so many Japanese people grew up with. It's pretty much their Wizard of Oz. And as the boy gets older, he goes off to Ogre Island to fight the ogres, because the ogres have taken wealth and goodness from his village and his parents. So he goes, it's a journey to conquer the ogre. And on his way, he meets a spotted dog, a monkey, and a pheasant. And he befriends them, and they go on the journey to help him conquer the ogre. So I had heard about this story years ago, and I've been working with Mark Saltzman, who's a wonderful writer. He wrote Hey, My Name is Alice. He just had a show run before COVID off-Broadway called Romeo and Bernadette, I think. And he worked for Sesame Street. He's a great guy, and he I've been learning from him as a mentee for years, and had all these different show ideas, and they sort of just died on the vine. Like I couldn't get them going. And then all of a sudden, one day I went to him and he's like, that's your show right there. So I started working on it and it just clicked. Like everything worked really well. I found an amazing songwriter named Phil Luna. And Phil just was a delight to work with. We have 16 original songs. And we did scripted readings, and then right before COVID, we did a staged reading with actors singing and reading on stage, and it went really well. And during COVID, we were actually able to get a lot of tracks recorded, and we released the cast album. So the cast album is out. My next goal is to have a workshop production. So if there's any producers out there, theater producers that are looking for a great family-friendly content and new cultural, wonderful Japanese show, let's talk, because I really want this to get further. And it's a wonderful play, great musical.
Well, let's let people know how to find it. I'm going to put on the screen here the Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Peach Boy Musical. You can also go to the website, which I viewed. It's peachboymusical.com. I went there and you can look at cast bios, and there's a lot of cool stuff and information about the musical. And then, of course, on the lower third, I've got the website address for Buzzr TV. But I want to stay on Peach Boy for a minute. Now, did you also write some of the music to it? How did you work that out?
I wrote the book and lyrics. So I wrote all the lyrics, and then Phil wrote the music. So basically, I worked on the story outline and wrote the book. What I did, which I think was really a fun thing, is we added a love story to it. There was really never a love story in with this tale, and so we added a character who was a love interest, and there's a twist at the end. And so basically, once the script is kind of fleshed out and you have a nice outline of where you think you want it to go, then you spot it for songs of where you think songs would go well. And so we came up with a concept of 10 core songs, and I would take those to Phil and we'd talk about the kind of feeling we want to evoke and what kind of song is it. And then he'd come back 2 weeks later and be like, hey, this is what I got. And
wow.
it most of the time worked. And so then I would take his tracks and sit down and write lyrics to it. And
very cool.
Went from there. And I'm so happy about it. On Peach
Sounds
Boy Musical,
beautiful.
oh my God. I so want this show to be seen by more people. And I think it's just I just think it's a delightful tale. And there is an actual nursery rhyme song from Japan of Momotaro. And what I love is that we managed to work this in the opening of the show. And it's a real mysterious opening. So we do it in a kind of like a minor key. And so when we did our first table read with the music, our director, Hisato, who's a dear friend of mine, is great. He was able to pull in some Japanese actors that knew the story. And so we were sitting around and we hit play on the pre-recorded stuff, and they all started singing. Like without having anything in front of them, without having the lyrics in front of them, not being prompted. It was the coolest thing to hear all these people singing the song that, I thought nobody knew. And they were like, and one of the actresses was like, you don't understand. This was Momotaro was the first story read to me as a child. So I have a lot of, wonderful memories of it. So I'm just excited about it. I mean, I'm spoiler alert, I'm not Japanese. but I sure love the story and I related to it. So
it's a beautiful story.
Yeah, and based on what you're talking, just the way you're talking about honoring these game shows, I imagine if you've taken this beautiful story, you're probably doing it justice. You strike me as the kind of person that would. And I can tell you, I know in this house and every one of our friends, when COVID is at a point where we can start getting out there again, live shows are going to come back. And so we're going to put a lot of good vibes and energy towards your musical.
We're going to put you in touch with Danny Wolf. You know what his nickname is?
What's that?
Danny Greenlight.
Green light.
Oh yeah, I like
Greenlight.
that.
You two probably could sit and talk for hours
You
and
could
never
sit
get
and
bored.
talk for hours and hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
if anybody
yeah.
wants to hear the music, it's also on Spotify and iTunes and all. There's a general link on the Peach Boy musical.
That you can
page.
get the album.
Yeah, it just says listen, and you hit that, and it'll have links to a lot of the streaming services that have it.
Well, actually, what I've done is in the description, if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, just below this video, click that link because it's the Spotify link. You can listen to it. You can also click the link to go to the website. I encourage you to do that. It's peachboymusical.com, and just let Tony know what you think, and just reach out and feel free to contact him beyond this show too.
Yeah,
So,
please follow everything on the pages and updates. I try to update as much as possible, even if something's not going on. I put fun tidbits and news and things up there. And,
You do.
I do.
I've seen it. Yeah.
One of the other cool things. I'm sorry to keep going on about this.
No. We want to
read
read you some comments though.
Okay, one other quick thing is that we're working on with this show, the animals are the concept for the animals are to be done in a Japanese style of puppetry. So they're going to be singing, acting puppets. So the spotted dog will be a puppeteer and the pheasant will be a puppeteer. And the monkey, I think we're going to have maybe 2, hopefully, we'll see. But that's the goal. So I've also been searching out some puppet places to help me create a really sort of more sophisticated, stylized version of these animal characters. So that's all.
How
please.
beautiful.
I know it's not the same as marionettes, but Bob Baker might have some people there that could steer you in the right direction. The Bob Baker Marionette Theater.
Yeah, I've gone there several times. I love that place. I know it moved recently from their original.
It did, yeah. It's a fun place to play unless you have to sit in the back with all the puppets. Then it gets a little creepy. I'm like, can I go on next, please? Some of the comments we got were Jack Denlinger says, love this, such memories when I would stay home sick from school and I would always watch the match game. Scott Hale Gomez, who is a big fan also of Buzzr, says, thanks, Tony. This was so interesting. I'll be looking at Buzzr in a new light after listening to you. Didn't realize all that work that goes into getting a new episode on the air. BG Casas, thank you, Tony, for the trip down memory lane. Eva Martis, thanks. I enjoyed reminiscing about the old game shows. Good night and take care. So our audience really enjoyed you. Before we let you go, we play a game on the show. It's called Would You Rather and Why? Would you like to play?
Sure.
Okay. Now, so we keep saying we're going to.
I took some of those out, but let's do this. We'll open the segment.
Because a lot of them has stuff to do with dating. I'm like, why wouldn't we have somebody who's happily married? Okay.
I'm going to open the segment and then we'll get it.
Okay.
All right, Debbie, what is this?
This is the colander of questions.
There you go.
Ooh.
It's a colander because it's a cooking show.
We're a cheap game show. Tony, would you rather wear hideous glasses that are perfect for your eyesight or flattering ones that make your vision a tiny bit blurry?
Oh my God. I have some unflattering glasses that I love to wear. I would. Oh God.
It's hard.
I mean, am I wearing these to a certain location? Like,
where are we going?
This is for the rest of your life.
Am I at Ralph's or am I at like Disney World? Where am I? I would wear. I would wear not so flattering glasses to see better.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, well, the world.
He's like, I drive a car and
you
produce
see
a
the
show.
world better that way. Yeah. What's your next question?
Would you rather have the ability to always pick out the perfect gift for your partner or have them always be able to pick out the perfect gift for you?
Oh, that's easy. Pick it out for him.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think most people would answer it that way. I know I would. Yeah.
I wouldn't. I like gifts. I want them to be
Son
good.
of a bitch.
Wait, let me say something. Considering stuff, like I remember I reached out to you because we were so in quarantine we've been doing these things to try and make things better. One of which is every night we take a turn watching a movie or something, and during lunch we've been watching Clean House episodes. This is motivation to get rid of so much clutter. So if I spun this computer around, there's so much stuff here, but we've been getting rid of a lot of it. So my answer is we're not buying a lot of stuff right now.
Yeah.
For each other, but I don't idolize those people on Clean House. That
Did you see my episodes?
I saw. Yeah, Oh
my God, I hated that show.
Well, everybody I talked to, like, we're my other half is really good friends with Trish and
I love Trish
and
Mark.
When I talked to them, it's like, oh, it was so hard.
I hated that show. I cried every show.
It was
I
so
cried
hard.
every show. They would tell me, this little girl told me, she said, I walked in the house and she goes, look at the ceiling. It was a popcorn ceiling. She goes, just focus on those little popcorns. That's what I do so I don't throw up. I'm like, oh my God. Nobody gets you ready for the smell in those houses. Nobody.
Yeah,
And
Trish said, I've seen so many people's dirty underwear. I don't.
And they don't own closets. Nobody owns closet doors.
No, but I look at that and I watch like your episodes or Nisi or Lisa, the other hosts. I was like, that's not just being a host of a show. Like you being a host of a show, you've gone in, you're doing stand up with the mic and you're talking a little bit and you're interviewing. That's like the Hoarder stuff before.
Yeah.
That I think was on before Hoarder.
It was before Hoarders because nobody knew what a hoarder was. And then you would walk in and they're not mentally right, these people. Like if you throw away a Snickers wrapper, they'll come at you. Where's that Snickers wrapper?
Mm-hmm.
And one woman, her father, who she never spoke to and she hated him, he crashed in a plane. So she got wreckage from the plane and she wanted that to be in the middle of the room. Like, can you make a sculpture? And so you were dealing with people that were crazy. And Nisi called me personally going, girl, this can be so easy. It's such easy money. You just walk in, walk out, ha, 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 real easy. And then I got there, I'm like, these people are wackadoodles.
It was tough. Like we watched some of those shows and we're like, oh my gosh, like I can't imagine trying to host that show. So
it was awful.
Clean House has been a way to motivate us to try and clean house as well.
Tony, we clean our house before the house cleaner comes. You're not going to come into this house and see dirty underwear laying around. None of that.
Then I did another game show called
Hidden Agenda.
Oh, I don't know that one.
That ran on the Game Show Network.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where we walk into people's houses. Well, what we did is, do we have time just to share this super quick?
This is your show.
Oh, okay. Oh.
You do what you want.
I'm used to a line producer going. Ugh. So it was a show where it was usually husband and wife.
It was a hidden camera game show.
And it was a married, like they were a married couple. Like in other words, they had spent a lot of time together. They weren't newlyweds.
Okay.
And so they were spouses and that were there for 10, 15 years. So then she says, he never helps me make dinner. He doesn't help me with schoolwork with the kids. So what I would do is I would be on a cell phone and I would text her, if you can get him to make you dinner.
It's important to know this though.
Oh,
there are hidden cameras all throughout the house and they're recording audio and video. And so everything that's happening, Video Village can see. We're going to close that up.
Wow.
So then one of the people in the relationship knows the cameras are there. Supposedly the other doesn't.
Yeah.
And that's the game show.
That's the game show. So I would say if you open your oven and your oven is everything to make pizza. So if you get him to make pizza, I'll give you $500. And so she would try to get him to make pizza.
Or put on these wigs and dance with you.
Yeah.
And some crazy stuff, some fun, and some
taste this homemade baby food. And it was so weird because women would be on their phone the whole time. Men never asked them what they were doing. Never asked them, who you texting? Nothing. They just
really?
Never. So, and then here's the weird thing. So I'm walking in at the end to award money. you did these different things, you win money. So the one spouse has no idea anything's going on. So there is this real big guy always in Video Village, always eating. You know that person that always finds the good food in Video Village? Like, where did you find lasagna? So that was that guy, just eating all the time. And then when it was time to do the reveal, he would come this close to me, no boom, no nothing, just him, and walk with me. So about 4 shows in, I go, who are you? What are you doing? He goes, oh, I'm security. And in reality game show, when you do these big reveals, you have no idea what people are going to do. And so he goes, I make sure nobody hits this. And, like just gets shocked or surprised or how dare you, and just go after the host. And so I was talking to, Ben Bailey from Cash Cab.
I don't know him personally, but I know of him, and I know people that have worked with him that speak very highly about him.
He is lovely. So I asked him, do you have one of those guys? He goes, yeah.
Oh, he's a big dude.
He's a big dude. He goes, yeah, he's had to get out of the taxi and go take one for the team. So yeah, that was my experience on Game Show. And most recently I was on Family Feud with Brad Garrett and Ray Romano.
Oh, that's awesome.
For their reunion show. We did Celebrity Family Feud. So, and we didn't follow any of the rules, and we cheated all the way.
I got to get footage of that. I want to see that again. You can maybe put that up on the website.
I'll send you the contact of somebody if you need that can get, because it's a Fremantle show. So I can
okay, cool.
Try to put you in touch with somebody. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I have to watch it again.
I was a contestant on 2 game shows.
What were you on?
So when I moved to LA, I was like, it was that whole thing we talked about earlier. It's like, oh, maybe I'll just do game shows and I'll.
Yeah, you can make money.
So I was on Lingo.
Yes.
Which was the game show network with Chuck Woolery. And so to try to go to make it short, we get prepped before we go in, and they're like, okay, these are the words that will not be on the show. They will not be this type of word, or this will not be slang. It will not be a proper name. It's like, okay. So we go in there and we're like neck and neck during this episode, and the word comes up and we fail miserably on it, and the word is lingo. I got so pissed.
The name of the show.
We were so angry because, first of all, it's slang if you think about.
Sure, it is. Yeah.
It's also a proper name.
Proper name.
What writer put this in there to try and use it in a promo later? I was so angry, and when we were in there, they said, "Do not." Okay, so if something you don't agree with something, don't stop taping. Wait till the break, and raise your hand and say, "Look, hey, I got an issue here or something." So we didn't do anything. We kept it cool. We waited till the break. I raised my hand, and they're like, because we lost. We didn't go to the bonus round, and they were like, "You're done." Off, and they just scurried us away.
Wow.
And it was like, okay. So I was very bitter about lingo.
Uh-huh. And you're like, one of these days I'm going to write about this, and I'm going to call it the Secret Scandals.
I'll put it in
the book.
And then the other
son of a bitches.
I was on a syndicated Deal or No Deal, which the syndicated was a half an hour, not an hour. It was 5 days a week, and instead of the models, they had contestants stand where the models stand, and everybody had a suitcase number, and they'd spin a wheel, and this ball would land in a number, and if it landed in your number, you got to go up and play. I never got up to go play, but it was a great experience. Howie was great, and the producers were great, and I almost, it was like one number away the last day, but I didn't get up and play. But that's my extent of being a game show contestant.
Yes, but
that
now
sounds like fun.
You have keys to the kingdom.
Yes, we do. So when can we expect Game Show Babylon to come out?
Well, originally I was looking at fall of this year, but it looks like it's, with everything else, it's getting pushed. So
sure. I'm
hoping to have it out by maybe winter of 2022 or summertime, somewhere around there. It's just got to get the thing written, and then working with trying to get a publisher for it, and have a couple things in the works. So hopefully you'll be seeing it by early 2022.
We do too.
Yes.
And please keep an eye out for it, you guys. One last time, I want to mention where you can find him. Facebook.com/Peach Boy Musical, his website, peachboymusical.com. And then, of course, all the work that he does at Buzzr can be found at buzzrtv.com.
And be sure to tune in on March 19th to Buzzr for the Let's Laugh Day.
Yeah, National Let's Laugh Day.
National Let's Laugh Day. So we'll push that too.
Yeah.
We'll
Great.
promote that.
Great. Thank you so much, you guys.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
It's our pleasure to have you. Thank you so much, Tony.
Thank you. And someday I'll come back and cook with you, maybe.
That'd be great.
I've been doing an all vegan thing for 3 years now, and so I've gotten a lot better at cooking. So,
well, there's a vegan book behind me on that shelf somewhere back there that we have intention to use. So maybe you can come over and show us how to do some of those recipes.
I would love to. It's all plant, but my cholesterol dropped considerably. That's why I did it, and I'm very happy to say it went from like 700 to 160.
You should be dead.
My triglycerides. I know, not what you want to hear probably, but no, I just had to. I couldn't do the medication, and I was like, I got to eat better. And
yeah, wow.
Yeah, somebody posted, Richard Konemacher posted, how do you lose weight during COVID? You first came on.
Yeah.
Like, how is that even possible?
It's funny when you stop going and eating out at restaurants. Like, I miss going out. We used to go eat out all the time, but 99% of our meals are cooked at home now.
Yeah.
So you have a lot more control over what you're doing. And
yeah. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And happy 25th anniversary. That was a big year.
Thank you.
Yes. And we will be seeing you on Facebook, on Instagram, and on National Laugh Out Loud Day, and applauding you for all your hard work for getting those episodes on the air for us to enjoy.
Yeah.
Thank you. And thanks to all the viewers as well.
Thank you,
Thank you, Tony.
Have a good night, man.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
That was so much fun going down memory lane.
I can't even tell you how impressed I am with him.
Yeah.
And his knowledge. And now I'm like I think Scott said, you're going to view these episodes and view Buzzr in a completely different light. So totally agree. That's why I'm so happy you were able to get Tony to come onto the show tonight to talk about what they're doing, because I think it's this type of programming that does help us escape our day-to-day stresses and anxieties. And for sure, some of the best programming on TV is on Buzzr. Yeah.
I agree. All right. Well, everybody, thank you. And join us Sunday. I have no idea what I'm cooking because BG Casas, who is my friend, I keep saying, she's my friend. She's my friend. She's my friend. So I hope she doesn't say like, we're going to give you chicken and an artichoke and garlic and olive oil and marshmallow cream.
And black licorice.
What? Because we're going to play our own version of Chopped. So staying with that game show, Suzanne said, awesome show. Thanks, guys. Now I'm going to go put my mask on. Yes, because Texas is trying to kill you, Suzanne.
So we cook at Sundays, 12 noon.
He doesn't like when I say that.
I don't want to get political.
Come on, Texas.
I don't like to alienate people.
We're not. She knows it. That's why she flees every chance she gets.
At me?
So mad at Texas.
Podcast every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on YouTube and Facebook. Then, of course, we've got a website, cookingwithdebbieandfriends.com. Please check us out on Instagram. That's at Cooking with Debbie. We're always posting stuff there. And again, like I mentioned earlier, we send the audio from these broadcasts out to Spotify, Apple, iHeart, Stitcher, wherever you get your podcast is going to be available there. So please check that out. And do us a favor, go check out what Tony's doing with this Peach Boy Musical. I want to put this up one more time, peachboymusical.com. Follow him, request him, find him on Instagram, and support him, because as always, we like to support small businesses. We also like to support other artists that are doing some amazing things. And it sounds like he's working on some really great stuff.
Yeah, it does. We're so happy to have him. So we'll see you guys on Sunday for our version of Chopped. And next Tuesday, we'll be here with producer Danny Wolf talking about nudity in Hollywood.
Nudity in the movies.
Nudity in the movies. Like you can go to the movies nude?
I don't think anyone wants to see that.
What if I have my mask on?
Oh, no. None of that. Especially not me. Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.